In January of 2020, the winter snow had made the roads of Washington's Olympic Peninsula icy and treacherous. So it was no wonder that Mathew Warren Dean spun his white 2007 Camry into a ditch that evening. What was strange is that after the accident, he left the safety of his car and trudged off through the snowdrifts 18 inches deep, heading back toward his home in Neah Bay. Mathew Dean was never seen again, leading us to wonder if his disappearance was just a tragic accident or if there was something darker at play. What happened to Mathew Warren Dean? Mathew Dean is 38 years old, 5 feet 10 inches tall, 155 pounds, and has brown hair and brown eyes. He is Native American and a member of the Olympic Peninsula's Makah tribe. Mathew was last seen wearing a black jacket, black sneakers, and black or gray sweatpants. Mathew's family, especially his girlfriend and 3 children, miss him dearly. On January 14, 2020, Mathew borrowed his parents' 2007 Toyota Camry. He had planned to travel from Neah Bay to Port Angeles along Highway 112. It had been snowing steadily that week, and by the evening of the 14th, there were accumulations up to 18 inches all along his route, and more snow was falling. The exact cause of Mathew's accident is unknown, but there is no evidence of a collision with another vehicle. It would seem that Mathew simply lost control of his car on the dangerous roads, perhaps after hitting a patch of ice. Mathew's car spun around across the road, coming to rest in a shallow ditch near milepost 26, about 10 miles southeast of Clallam Bay. The Camry hit a guardrail, but according to the Clallam County Sheriff's Office, the impact was mild, causing little damage to the vehicle. Whether or not Mathew himself was injured in the car crash could not be determined. What is known is that the airbags didn't deploy and that there were no cracks in the windshield, which would have indicated that Mathew struck his head there. He could have hit his steering wheel, however, which would have been more difficult to determine. Another motorist reported his car abandoned in the ditch on the evening of January 14th. The Washington State Patrol was the first on the scene of the crash, finding the car empty. Thinking that it was simply an abandoned vehicle, the State Patrol asked Mathew's girlfriend, Jamie, to move the car. Confused and concerned, she told the patrol officer that Mathew had been driving the car and that he hadn't been in contact since he left that morning. His family didn't officially report Mathew missing until the evening of the 15th. The State Patrol informed the Clallam County Sheriff's Department that there was an abandoned car on Route 112, but made no mention of the missing driver. Due to the severe weather, the Clallam Sheriff's Department had been busier than usual that night. They were in the process of rescuing 2 stranded hunters who were near hypothermia. Mathew hadn't been reported missing, so the hunters naturally took priority over an abandoned car. In fact, the Clallam Sheriff's Department was unable to investigate the scene of Mathew's accident until the next day. Arriving on the scene, the attending deputy found the car partially in the road and empty. There was no blood, debris, or signs of violence. The dome lights in the car were operational, but there was no longer enough charge in the battery to turn over the engine. Continued heavy snow had obscured Mathew's footprints, making it difficult to impossible to track his path away from the scene. Seeing no sign of foul play, Mathew was listed as a missing person. Why Mathew chose to leave the relative safety of his car at that point is the heart of the mystery. Mathew had fled his car and ran during a routine traffic violation in Neah Bay earlier in January 2020, leading the deputy to believe that he may have been in the possession of controlled substances. Perhaps this was also the case the night he disappeared. Matthew believed he would be in trouble, may have fled his vehicle. The sheriff's department commented that they had no plans to pursue drug or any other charges against Mathew. They just want to know where he is and if he's okay. Clearly, he was unable to get the car out of the ditch, nor was he able to contact help. So instead of staying in the car, which would have provided some shelter, and perhaps heat if the engine was running, he ventured out on foot in the direction of Neah Bay. When last seen by friends and family, he had been wearing sneakers and sweatpants, which would have been inadequate protection against the extreme weather. The going must have been sluggish in 18 inches of snow along the soft shoulder of a rural roadway. Authorities can only speculate why he left his car. Perhaps he was stunned and confused by the accident. Perhaps the tailpipe was clogged with snow, which made running the engine for warmth dangerous. Perhaps he simply underestimated the distance back to town, thinking that would have been an easy walk. There are unconfirmed reports by motorists who saw a man matching Mathew's description walking along Highway 112 at around that time. Not one of them stopped to lend assistance, however, and Mathew never made it back to Neah Bay or Camry Bay. He disappeared somewhere between his car and safety. There was another motorist who reported his car abandoned in the ditch on the evening of January 14th. His family reported Mathew missing on the evening of the 15th. Search and rescue scoured the road and the snow banks along the shoulder of Highway 112. In addition to the footprints in the snow, they found evidence that someone had set on the guardrail just above the Fist River, which is about 10 miles from Camry Bay. The searchers also found a Suboxone wrapper where Mathew might have sat. Suboxone is a drug that is used to treat opioid addiction and can cause various side effects, such as anxiety and depression. This may have contributed to his state of mind after the accident. This led to speculation that Mathew may have rested on the guardrail for a time and fallen into the river below. In the first week, teams searched the river area on foot, used drones to search the wide area from the air, and kayaks on the river looking for any sign. Eventually, authorities brought scent hounds into the area to aid in the search. Scent dogs can pick up a person's trail for hundreds of yards. They are not hampered by darkness or bad weather. Wind can even enhance the dog's ability to track, lifting the person's scent off the ground. Cadaver dogs can smell human remains up to 15 feet underground and over 90 feet underwater. They are also able to tell the difference between human and animal remains. So if Mathew had died in that area and had been dragged off by a person or animal, the dogs would have had a very good chance of following the path. Yet neither of the dogs nor the human search parties found any trace. Deputies canvassed homes in the Camry Bay Siku community to see if anyone had seen Mathew Dean. Reportedly, a witness at a Port Angeles business saw someone that fit Mathew's description, but the sheriff's department was not able to confirm anything, and the sighting is believed to be a case of mistaken identity. After Mathew went missing, his girlfriend searched the area every day for the next 60 days. His sister hired a private investigator to look into Mathew's disappearance. The family also used the services of a psychic. Since January 14th, 2020, no one has seen or heard from Mathew, and he has not attempted to contact friends or family. Mathew's cell phone hasn't been accessed since the evening of the 14th. Perhaps the biggest unanswered question is why Mathew tried to walk back to Neah Bay from where his car went off the road. The hike from mile marker 26 back to the Macaw Reservation is roughly 24 miles along rough and winding roadside. In good weather, that walk would take 8 hours or more, yet Mathew apparently attempted it during a snowstorm, in thin clothes and poor shoes. Stranger still, walking along Highway 112 from his car to Neah Bay, he would have had to pass through the town of Clallam, yet no one saw him there, or if they did, tried to help him, nor did he seek help. Their search was called off 3 days after Mathew was declared missing. Typically, the disappearance of a man receives a mere fraction of the publicity or investigation as a woman or child, even when the circumstances are dreadfully similar. For instance, a woman named Maura Murray disappeared in New Hampshire after losing control of her car in the snow, and her case gained sustained national attention for years afterwards. Mathew is also Native American, a historically underserved population. It is disheartening, yet unsurprising, that his case is so quickly forgotten. Unexplained disappearances are epidemic in Native communities across the country, yet little is ever said about it in the media, which is why it's essential to share stories like Mathew's. So if you know anything about the whereabouts of Mathew Dean, please contact the Clallam County Sheriff's Office at 360-417-2459. Please like, share, and subscribe to this channel. And if you or anyone you know has a loved one that is missing, please fill out our case submission form. There is a link in this video's show notes.